So from what I understand, the shooting took place right in front of the police. So what else can we do?
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about a shooting that took place right outside of a Chicago funeral home, right in front of the police. Now, the owner of the funeral home has spoken out. We're going to get to that video in a minute. You saw some of it at the very beginning of this video. He's like, hey, what more can we do? We bought the block. We have not left our community. We invested into our community. But what more are we going to do when we have shootings that take place right in the middle of a funeral, right outside the funeral home? What are we going to do? Now, before we get into his passionate plea and his speech about what's going on, let's get into the news clip about the shooting. If you want to see either clip, links will be in the description. If you're on IG, visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Ravi Cheryl police say those men were shot multiple times. Investigators have not said if those two men were the intended target of the drive-by shooting, but witnesses say that doesn't matter. People who were there to memorialize an 18-year-old who'd just been killed had to duck for cover from gunfire inside a chapel. This bullet-littered block along Cottage Grove through Chatham was already under police guard this morning when witnesses say someone inside a passing car unloaded. Inside the chapel, people were still laying a teenager who'd just been shot and killed to rest.
So this is during a funeral, a drive-by shooting during a funeral while people are actually inside of the chapel. It gets shot up. And two people were shot at the actual funeral home.
I didn't think it was gonna go that far with a funeral. They don't have no respect for the dead.
That's what Ryan.
I'm gonna tell you this. Now, I've said this before. I've said it on the live stream, and when I said it, people were shocked. I've been to a funeral that had armed security inside the actual funeral, like inside the church. Okay, my man had on the bulletproof vest, and he had a visible firearm right on his waist. Okay, that's not normal, but here we are.
Anti-violence advocates to the hospital where at least one victim is still critically injured.
Today hit an all-time low.
This collection of community activists says shooting to kill at a funeral is beyond the pale.
If you're not safe at the funeral home where you're supposed to be taking the final rest, where is you going to be safe at?
Nowhere, not in Chicago. And, you know, they want to defund the police and things of that nature. That's going to make it worse. So, like, what are you going to do? And then not only are the police defunded, the police are not really respected because when the shooting took place, there was a police car right there parked right outside the funeral home. So these kids have no respect for authority, no fear of the police. They just do whatever they want to do. And a lot of that comes because there's a lack of consequences for these people. They terrorize their community. Nobody holds them accountable. So they're going to keep on going further and further with their actions.
We need a code of decency in Chicago to know when and when not to discharge weapons.
The ABC7 I-Team has been looking into funeral attacks for more than 5 years now. As the I-Team first reported in 2018, Chicago and suburban police share intelligence in an effort to head off rival attacks on the funerals of gang members. But today, it wasn't enough, and a funeral director who's made a life of memorializing people and bringing comfort to families is at his wit's end.
That's my name on that building.
Now, before we get into this, I'm going to play this because what he's saying right here was captured in a much longer video. So I'm going to link to this news clip in the description box, but let's get to my man right here and hear what he has to say. All right. Now, the funeral home is right behind him. I think it's Leak and Sons. And let's hear what he has to say.
And I'm tired of it. I am sick, my brother, my father. Funeral homes, funeral directors across this city, across this state. This is not just happening in Chicago. This is happening in Atlanta, Philadelphia, California. It's happening everywhere. What are we as a society going to do to help stop this? It's been upsetting for us.
Now, to his first question, what are we as a society going to do to stop this? Well, you know what? If I could just be King ABL, Ruba Fiat, do whatever I want to do, you know what I would do? These young terrorists, gangbangers, hoodlums, thugs, they would get deleted immediately. When you go shoot people up, shooting up funeral homes, shooting innocent people, just terrorizing, you got to go ASAP. At best, I would say go to the penitentiary, Big Rocks, Little Rocks. That's what I would say. At worst, go ahead and just get rid of you right away, because it's not going to get any better. It's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. You're going to have these terrorists terrorizing the community until they get to be too old and then they can't do it anymore. Then they want to become community activists. How about you just get rid of them before they have the ability, the opportunity to terrorize an entire community?
For my father, other funeral homes in the city, for some reason, I feel this just started happening. I mean, this is the new trend or something. Years ago, we would unfortunately have a victim of a homicide, and they were the most peaceful funerals. You know, it was the other families that were the uncles and the aunts, like the Hatfields and McCoys. They were the ones that would have the fights and things like that. But the person who was the victim of a gunshot, the funerals were quiet, just no problems. But for some reason this year, last year, maybe COVID is a part of it. This is what's happening at these funeral services. And we can only do so much. When we know that there's going to be a funeral at our funeral home for a victim of a homicide, we call the police. And most of the time they graciously send a car to sit out front of the funeral home, and we thank the police for that, and that's what happened today. So from what I understand, the shooting took place right in front of the police. So what else can we do? You know what I mean?
There's not much more that you guys as a funeral home can do about that. Okay, you're talking about a greater societal problem that doesn't involve you. Now, some are going to say, well, hey, ABL, they're capitalizing off of death and destruction and chaos in Chicago because when they're doing funerals and homicide victims increases business. But, I mean, people died. Like, nobody can live forever. People still die of old age. Sometimes they get sick. Sometimes there's an accident. Sometimes there might be some kind of self-harm or something going on. People that are on drugs, overdose. I mean, sometimes it's not a nefarious thing like gangs out here shooting and killing. I would think that they would prefer to not do with those at all and just do with people that die normally rather than the thugging and drugging that's happening in Chicago.
Police are out front. We've called and we've let everybody know. We've let the family know that we're going to have the police outside. Are you okay with that? They say yes. The police are outside and this happens. What else can we do?
You seem very upset.
I'm very upset. I mean, where you can't see that name? That's my name on that building. And when things like that happen in front of my place, that affects my name, my brother's name, my son who's 19, who hopefully will take over this place one day. It affects him. Chicago, put the guns down. You all are ending generational, you're ending generations of history, so to speak. That is an institution. This is an institution. We have done what we're supposed to do. Everybody says you're supposed to take care of your neighborhood. Heck, we bought the whole block. We're doing what we're supposed to do.
I'm gonna pause you right here. You know what? I hear this quite a bit. You know, you gotta invest into the community. You gotta go back. You gotta give back and buy the block and do all this. I've seen countless stories of people, Black folks especially, trying to go buy the block, trying to invest into their community, trying to uplift the community, only to have these negative things happen. People robbing them, beating them up, shooting outside the place, killing people. When people are not prepared to move forward, they're not going to move forward. The community, or what we say, the communita, is toast. What you're going to have with Black folks in America, are those that want to go forward, like myself and many of y'all watching, those that want to go forward and those that don't. If you want to go forward, then come on, let's go. If you don't, then you're going to be left right there. You're going to be left to suffer. You're going to be left to just eventually die off. And it's simple as that, man. Like, if you're not trying to go forward, if you don't have a forward-thinking mindset, you're going to be 15 years old in that funeral home dead too. Okay, you want to go shoot it up, you're going to be the next person. You want to go shoot up the funeral home, you're going to be in that same funeral home dead in 2 weeks. That's what's ultimately going to happen. Now, am I threatening these people? No. I'm just giving the reality of the situation. That's what's going to happen. And you can't really save these people. You can only save those that want to be saved. It's just like dealing with somebody that's on drugs or an alcoholic or something like that. You can't force them to stop smoking crack. You can't force them to stop drinking the liquor. You cannot force someone to be anything that they don't want to be. If they're ready, then they're going to be ready. If they're not, then they're not. It's simple. And don't feel bad for having to leave people behind. Don't feel bad. Whenever I'm on the road in Atlanta, Nashville, or whatever, and some bum come up to me talking about, can I get X, Y, and Z? I mean, look, I don't even see you. I'm Stevie Wonder to the dope fiend on the side of me. I don't feel any kind of way bad at all, because obviously you're still trying to get money for drugs. When you're prepared to get your life together, you'll do it, and then you won't be out here begging for $5 to go get a hit of your cocaine or your heroin or whatever you want to do.
Everybody else, you need to do your part. We're doing our best.
And that the
I'll leave that right there. I'll link to the rest of this. It's about 6 minutes long. I'll link to the rest in the box. But yeah, I mean, I feel where he's coming from. I understand he's doing the right thing. He done bought the block, invested into the community, has not left, has not fled. But check it out, my man. You might need to go ahead and leave, man. You see what's going on. You see the writing on the wall. You know that if there is a victim of a homicide, probably some 15-year-old gangbanger that dies and it goes to your funeral home, there's a high chance he could get shot up. Police or no police. They don't fear the police. They don't fear anything. They don't care. So what can you do? There's no more you can do. You've done all that you can. Anyone forward thinking has pretty much left. Those who are left behind are just going to wallow and suffer. It is what it is. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on the whole situation in Chicago with the funeral home being shot up? And then the director or the owner or whatever is saying, hey, we've done our part. We bought the block. We have invested into our community, but you guys got to do your part. Is he just preaching to the choir? Is what he's saying going to fall on deaf ears, putting the guns down? Who's going to pay that any mind? If these teenagers are shooting up funeral homes, what makes you think they're going to pay you any mind when you say put the guns down? But whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. The community, as we call it, the community is toast. Either you're going to go forward or you're not. That's it. And don't feel bad for leaving anyone behind. You got to save yourself, save your family. You can't be worried about trying to save others that don't want to be saved, only to put yourself, your life, your livelihood, and your future in jeopardy. It doesn't make any sense. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.